So the SPY is setting up for an amazing trading opportunity heading into tomorrow. If you are serious about making money, make sure you watch this video to the end and make sure you're subscribed to this channel. With that being said, there is a daily chart pattern on the SPY, and based off of what the pattern is showing, we're going to be setting up for an amazing trading opportunity to trade potentially both ways heading into the market tomorrow. We're going to be closing out the week very, very strong within the green. Make sure that you're trading at these overall levels. I'm going to be breaking it down for you. So in terms of last night's video, I made it very, very clear that the only thing that I was seeing on the daily chart was that if SPY gaps down, it's likely going to have a very bearish trend day. So if you're going to buy call options at the oversold levels, make sure you're using a strong bullish 30-minute confirmation, because there wasn't really a special reason to be buying calls in a sense, along with if it gaps down, it could be a strong bearish trend day. With that being said, in terms of the overall day, if you looked at the 30-minute chart, there was no bullish 30-minute confirmations to be buying call options. You could have said around here, there was some at 570.30 to 571. That is when I decided to buy call options towards the lows. I made a quick 10% return. The next trade after that, I had a small win. If I would have held, those calls would have went up 50%. And then in terms of the last 30 minutes, unfortunately, I did end up trying SPX calls, and that trade did not work out. With that being said, I'm going to absolutely crush it heading into tomorrow. So in terms of the overall SPY, like I said, heading into the morning, there was really no reasons to be buying calls, just nothing but red bearish overall 30-minute confirmations. Now, in terms of the new daily chart pattern, this is going to be very simple, man. Look at the pattern that is currently setting up here on the SPY. I'm going to break down the daily chart, then I'm going to give you the overall new levels that I'm looking at. So let's get straight into it. So as you can see right here, you got a couple of red 30-minute, you got a couple of red daily bearish candlesticks, you got a couple of red daily bearish candlesticks, then you have a red, green, red overall pattern, then you have a red, green, red overall pattern. Next day, the SPY gaps down and ends up closing weak at the lows, which is why I said in terms of last night's video, since that pattern was forming, that if it gaps down is likely going to have a strong bearish trend day. And to be extremely cautious with calls, make sure you're using very strong 30-minute bullish confirmations, because there was no strong reasoning to really be buying call options. And if you're going to try call options at a level and there's no strong reason, you're going to need very strong 30-minute confirmations in a sense. So with that being said, this pattern repeated in a very similar cycle, right? So that's the overall pattern. Now, in terms of what happened the next day, the SPY ended up opening up flat, and then it dropped 2 points. That was the bottom, and it had a very nice spike towards the previous day highs. So in terms of the first game plan is going to be the following. If the SPY is opening up flat, the focus is going to be buying the dips, right? In terms of the absolute low, you can take 568.64. That's where we ended up closing. In terms of a gap, there's a gap that's waiting to fill below at 567.64. And then there's a lot of support at 566, right? So in terms of measuring the move based off the daily chart pattern, if the SPY is opening up flat, we're not really gapping down or gapping up, it's just opening up around the previous closing price, the main focus is going to be to buy call options. In terms of the absolute best levels, 566 daily chart support. And there's a gap that's waiting to fill below at 567.80. That is going to be the first overall game plan. Now, if you're seeing bullish 30-minute confirmations slightly, if you're giving it some time and SPY is just kind of chopping around, not doing too much, and it's flat, and you're seeing a couple of bullish 30-minute candlestick confirmations or bullish, 30-minute trend reversal patterns, right, for the SPY to go up that I've been teaching within these videos, you're going to really just kind of going to want to get in calls towards the slightly higher prices. You can also use the breakout and retest strategy, right? Because this can have a strong move to the upside. So if you're seeing breaks above resistance levels, it could be in the pre-market. If you're just seeing breaks above resistance and then drops back down, and you're seeing that previous resistance to retest react to support, bullish 30-minute confirmations, you're going to want to be buying call options, right? So use those overall strategies along with those overall levels. Now, in terms of another daily chart pattern that I wanted to point out, right, is going to be very simple. And again, off this daily chart pattern, it did end up crashing towards the previous day highs. So another thing that I wanted to explain to you is the breakdown and retest. You can see right here, we had some support. We had some support right here towards this 576. The SPY cracked that support. It never retested. It just collapsed. You also have support right around here towards 575.50 to 575. So there is going to be an overall zone. We're going to call it like 574.50 to 575.50, a 1-point zone where I'm interested in buy and put options based off of that daily chart pattern where the SPY can sell off, retesting slightly below the previous day highs, right? So that's going to be the put zone. And just use a simple 30-minute bearish confirmation. Look at this. This is a very bearish 30-minute confirmation right at the gap as it was gapping down. And then it began to have that reversal and sold off hard. Nothing but red bearish 30-minute confirmations, right? Very simple in a sense. So that's the put zone. The overall strategy was the daily chart pattern along with the breakdown and retest. We had some breakdowns of support towards the 576, right? Measuring the overall move, it can potentially top out lower based off the daily chart pattern. So the breakdown retest where SPY cracks support, has a big sell-off, and then once it spikes back down to test that previous support for the first time, it's going to try to form a lower high and drop, right? So it's the inverse of that strategy, the breakdown retest where you go long, but with the breakdown retest, you go short, you buy the puts. So 574.50 to 576 will be the only put zone that I have heading into tomorrow. That is the only level and zone of interest I am interested in buying put options. 574.50 to 575 to 576 overall zone. If you're seeing any red bearish 30-minute candlestick confirmations, you're going to want to buy put options towards that zone. Very simple plan, right? So it's saying that the SPY is going to bottom towards the previous closing price or slightly 2 points under in this particular pattern. Then it's going to spike. Then it drops off towards the previous day highs. And it's not just the daily chart pattern in terms of the put wise. We do also have that situation where it's the breakdown and retest strategy at that overall level, right? And then for the call side, we have the gap reversal. There's a gap that's waiting to fill below at 560, 70, 80. The SPY has been having very strong reversals at all of the gaps throughout the past 20 days, right? So we're going to continue to put the statistics and odds within our favor and milk this overall trend, right? The daily chart pattern is setting us up for a move where we can bottom towards the gap. The daily chart pattern is setting us up for a move where we can top out towards the previous day highs. And it's not just the daily chart pattern. For the puts, it's the breakdown and retest combined with the daily chart pattern. For the calls, it's a gap reversal, and you also have very strong support. Another thing to note is this is a gap breakdown level. As you can see right here, we have key support at 565.10. If we go under this support level, there is no support, and it's going to start to crack and fill the gap that's waiting to fill below 561.32, which would be another phenomenal level to be buying call options, right? If the SPY is some sort of massive gap down, the main levels I'd be looking at for calls heading into the open would be 565 and 561.30 if we are experiencing a massive gap down. If not, then it's going to be the higher levels, 566 to 568, and then just keep an eye on that overall previous closing price, right? You don't want to nickel and dime it. If we're opening up flat, you need to be aware that you don't want to nickel and dime this and wait for it to drop like 1 or 2 points if you're getting strong confirmation, right? So go with the higher levels, previous closing price if we're opening up flat. Once you're seeing bullish 30-minute confirmations, it's going to take some time, right? Now, if we're just opening up flat and we start to dip towards 566 to 567, if you like, you can try to just buy calls or you can wait for a confirmation. In that situation, I would be more focused on kind of just getting in on calls at the oversold levels and then take starters, take light positions, and then just look to scale in on the confirmations, or you could just wait on the overall confirmations, right? So I wanted to just bring awareness to all that, man. As you can tell, based off of these market setups that I'm seeing, tomorrow is going to be a phenomenal day, man, because you could see the power within these key levels. We have daily chart patterns that can repeat itself along with strategies that we're using at these daily chart pattern levels that can repeat itself, right? We have the gap reversal for calls with the strong support, and we have the breakdown and retest for the puts, for the lower high, previous support to react as a resistance when it tests, right? So another thing I want you to be aware of is this. When the SPY does drop to 565, right, as long as we're going to have some sort of massive gap down, if it's just sitting at 565, is very likely to bounce first. I would consider that an automation buy level to just get in on calls at 565. this is a great level to buy calls as well. So I wanted to bring awareness to that because in terms of this level, once it tests first, it should bounce first. When it breaks down and reacts bearish, that's when it's going to fill the gap below at 561.40, which is an amazing oversold level to dip by the SPY. The setups for tomorrow are going to be amazing. Losing, going red, should be a personal choice for you if you use this game plan, because I'm telling you, man, the daily chart pattern formation is here along with strategies to trade at the daily chart levels. This is truly what the best setups at the best prices look like, right? So the market's not going to give us these opportunities every single day. So tomorrow, you guys need to be on your A game and you need to be trading at these levels and using the confirmations. I'm telling you, if you use this information, you should have a phenomenal green day. Wait for the 30-minute candlesticks to close, wait for the patterns to form at the levels, and then take the overall trades, right? Now, in terms of a very similar daily chart pattern, this is another thing that can happen. So I want to bring awareness to this as well. So as you can see, it's very similar. You have a couple red bearish candlesticks, and then the red, green, red. SPY has a massive gap down. Next day, it has a massive gap down. It ends up bottoming literally at the opening, just having a small, I think like 1 point drop, right? And then it has a very strong move to the upside, and then it has a drop later into the day. So this is another thing I want to bring awareness to. So if the SPY is having a big gap down, a medium-sized to big gap down, if we are gapping down, the game plan is going to be to buy call options towards the open. That's going to be the main game plan. I'm going to use that daily chart as a strong foundational piece. Now, in terms of like prices you can look at 565 support. It's likely going to bounce there first. And you can also look at 561 gap reversal. But based off the pattern, it's likely just going to bottom at market open, right? So use the pre-market chart, use 565, use 561 gap reversal. If the SPY is gapping down, I'm going to be looking to buy call options at the market open, wait for a 30-minute bullish confirmation to form. And then in terms of the levels, I'm giving you levels in advance. I'm telling you 565, 561.30, but the pre-market is really going to give it away. So look at the pre-market levels, wherever we are in the pre-market. Once you see a slight break above resistance on the SPY in the pre-market, drops back down to retest, forms that support, bullish 30-minute candlestick confirmations, you're going to want to be buying call options. That is the game plan, man. And then in terms of the puts, we're sticking with the 570, 450 to 575.50 zone. That's the zone for puts, the only zone for puts heading into tomorrow, man. I gave you the perfect game plan. I'm telling you, if you use this, you should have a phenomenal green day heading into the market tomorrow. Now, if the SPY ends up gapping up, it becomes a little bit more difficult. Preferably, I would like us to open up flat or gap down. It's having a small gap up, nothing too crazy at the moment. So I don't have too much to say in terms of if we do gap up, but this is what I can tell you in terms of a shift and reversal. So like I said, man, in terms of the best setups at best prices with the best daily chart patterns, it's really just kind of opening up flat or a tiny gap up or a big gap down are going to be the best fucking plays. If this is having a nice gap up, I don't have too much to say in a sense, but this is what you can do. Now, in terms of what I'm going to show you can do, this is truly nothing special. But in terms of if we do gap up, I would just say buy calls at the previous closing price, 568.64 for the gap reversal, right? Now, in terms of price action, what I'm going to show you here, this is really nothing true special. This is just basic price action. So when something's not like true special and it's just basic support and resistance, you really need to use all of the confirmations you can possibly have stacked within your favor as you're trading, whether that's the 30-minute candlestick confirmations, whether that's indicators. You need to have everything stacked in your favor. If you're going to trade something that's extremely basic in a sense, which is what I'm about to show you would be, you need to make sure that all of the confirmations are stacked within your favor. So again, this is just basic support and resistance. Nothing special about this. This just shows you how to measure moves. So you can see right here, 570. When 570 reacts as support, we go to 572. When 570 reacts as a resistance, we go back down to fill the gap at 568.64, right? So as you can see, it had a crack of support, spiked back up, formed lower highs, reacted as a resistance. That's normal since it cracked support, right? It's normal to do that first. For the bulls to shift the trend up a little bit, they need to break above 570 to gain some control. And then the next level we go to is 572. If we break above 572 and react to support, The next level we go to is the put zone, 574.50 to 575.50. So that's the overall measure moves, man. 575.50 to 574.50 reacts bearish. We drop to 572. Next level below that, 570. Next level below that, the gap at 568.64. That is what I have to say. If the SPY is gapping up, and then in general, just showing you basic overall price action of support and resistance and measuring the move, right? If we break above this, that's a signal that the bulls are trying to flip the trend from bearish to bullish, because in terms of the trend, this is when support cracks, that's bearish. And when it spikes back up and reacts as a resistance, that means it's forming lower highs, and that means it's bearish. For the trend to truly shift, you need to break above 570. That will cause a short-term trend reversal where the bulls will try to attempt control. When the bulls try to attempt control, that means they're going to try to attempt to break above 572 and run it to 574. That's what I have to say about the overall SPY, right? So just basic support and resistance, showing you how to measure the moves. 568.60, 570, 572, 574.50 to 575.50. It's your responsibility to determine if it's reacting bullish or bearish at that overall level, using what it is that you use along with what it is that I'm teaching you, right? But I explained to you all of the strong thesis that I have, man. The best case scenario is just a small gap up or opening up flat, or even better, a big gap down. Just focus on those call options. I am telling you, we are going to absolutely crush it heading into the market tomorrow. We're going to absolutely crush it. We will finish this week very, very strong within the green. We're going to close out this week very, very strong. And I'm telling you, the way that things are setting up, these are very rare setups. These are very rare levels. The market's on fire, man. Look at the fucking chart. 580 to 564. That rarely happens, man. A 2% drawdown on the SPY, man, is fucking crazy. So the volatility is here. And then also Fridays are going to be the best days to be trading the 0-date options, man. We have many stocks that have 0-date options that are going to be expiring, So in terms of the stocks that I'm looking at, man, you can keep an eye on Reddit. I've been keeping a close eye on this one, but for me, heading into tomorrow, the number one play that I'm going to be watching, and then with the scanners I have, new plays are going to rise. I'm telling you, man, if you just trade stocks on Friday, when a lot of them have their 0 dates expiring, the opportunities are insane. If you trade the volatile ones, the returns are fucking insane, multiple 100% to thousands of percent. So the number one stock that I'm going to be focused on, you can keep an eye on SMCI as well. I like to look at a lot of trending stocks with high volatility. So I'm looking at SMCI, I'm looking at Reddit. But the main one that I'm really going to be focused on, also keep an eye on Moderna, man. Moderna's just at key support, just kind of sitting here. I'm going to keep an eye. I'm telling you, man, the stock plays are insane. It's truly crazy on how fast you can make like 200% on a Friday. This is why I'm telling you, like Fridays, these are the best days to absolutely be trading. So in terms of the number one stock, you can keep an eye on Tesla as well. Keep an eye on Uber. But I'm telling you, man, the number one stock that I'm really keeping an eye on, I don't have too much to say about it at the moment, but it's going to be DJT, man. DJT, the volatility is there, with the election right around the corner. So with that being said, this was just at $55. We're all the way at $35. You can see right here, we had a gap that was waiting to fill at 39. We filled the gap, dropped a little bit lower. But this is going to be fucking critical, man. Look at this level, man. This level right here, this like $34 level, once it had a breakout and reacted as support, we had a quick, massive move in a few days to 55. And there's a gap that's waiting to fill above at 51.38, right? So the breakout and retest, the SPY had a break above 34, had a massive breakout. It had a gap down, came crashing back down. There's now a gap to fill above. Breakout and retest. We had the breakout, now it retested, and there's a gap to fill above. The fact that there's a gap to fill above makes the breakout and retest strategy stronger. That's a stack. Because if DJT is bottoming around this like low 30 level, 32, 34 zone, it's going to have a strong reason to go up from a technical view just based off of the gap waiting to fill. If you study DJT historically, and this is like the volume this ticker is having is fucking insane, man. This is like the most volume it's ever fucking had. So I'm telling you, man, the moves are going to be fucking massive. And just look at the monthly chart, man. This monthly chart is setting up interesting. This monthly candle right here compared to this monthly candle right here, it's fucking identical. It's at the same fucking price. And history is showing that DJT is going to spike into next month, right? And we have the election coming around the corner. So I'm telling you, man, I've studied this stock historically. It has the volume, it has the momentum, it has the catalyst, like everything's there. And historically, it fills all of the fucking gaps. We still have a gap to fill right here at $62. And if you looked at that monthly pattern, it can go higher than 51, right? So I'm telling you, DJT, keep an eye on this for a swing trade. Within time, heading into next month, we can go into the 50s, and it's possible to even hit 60, right? In terms of where I'd be interested in going short, I would keep an eye on $61 for a short-term pullback, man. This is the highest gap to fill above. That level is where I'd be very interested in buying put options for a swing trade. But for me to enter, there would have to be a bearish daily candlestick. Right now, I'm focused on going long, so there's going to be a day trade setting up. I'm not speaking too much on the day trade, right? So in this video, I'm not going to be speaking too much about the day trade, but it's going to be a great opportunity to potentially day trade heading into tomorrow. But that big play is going to be a swing trade as well. So we're setting up for phenomenal swing trade. Use confirmations, look for bullish daily candlesticks, and just keep an eye on this stock, man. Because if you just look at the monthly chart and the volume and the catalyst and everything that's in play, this is just due to spike. You see how the next month it bottoms towards the previous closing of the month, and then it spikes back up to this wick. This wick right here at 51 is towards the gap. And then the next month after that, it even pushed higher, and we have a gap that's waiting to fill above at $61. If you go back throughout the history of my overall channel, man, I was literally telling people when this was at the peaks that I was just going to get destroyed and not to buy this stock. And if you study and go even further back, I was telling people this is a great buy once it drops back down to fill the gaps, man. Like, see these levels? These are from the past videos that I made. I told people, this $11, the lowest gap to fill below, towards this $17 range, towards this like $16 range. These are all great levels to be buying and investing, getting investors in nearly at the lows. So I'm telling you, man, within time, we're setting up for that overall daily chart move heading into next month for a move to $51. The only thing that is lacking is a confirmation. So we're at good levels, but we do have the catalyst, but we're lacking levels. The main issue I'm seeing, now we're lacking a confirmation. The main issue I'm seeing with this overall play is that we're lacking daily chart confirmations. Like, you could see there is some similarities, if you compare this in a sense, there is some similarities to this 3-day pattern, and then it's just kept on selling off. But then also right here, it gapped up. Once it's starting to come back down to fill the gap, it started to reverse. So you got to be a little bit careful with this overall play. But heading into November, it's due for a move to $50 a share, man. That's where I'd be locking in gains at the gap. If I swing this, I'd be selling into that gap right there. And then if you want, you can leave overall runners for a move to 60. In terms of what I would value this at currently, like $61 a share. That's what I'd value this at. So there's going to be good opportunities to swing trade. This is a massive overreaction to the downside, break and retest to fill the gap above, along with a bullish monthly chart pattern. So this is going to be the #1 stock that I have on my radar to swing trade. Like I said, man, you need to put things into perspective. This is a very rare opportunity. The volume is at all-time highs. The volatility is here. We have a breakout and retest on the daily chart, and we have a gap that's waiting to fill above at 51, and we have a gap that's waiting to fill above at 50 at 62. We have the election, right? And we also have the monthly chart pattern. Just look at this candlestick right here. Look at this candlestick. Same price, spikes to the high of the previous month, goes higher the next month, right? And then same candlestick right here, spikes to the high of the previous month. So I'm telling you, man, we are setting up for a phenomenal fucking swing trade on DJT. And think about it, like, when does this happen? This never fucking happens. So this is how you make money within the market. You need to catch unique trends. And this is where all the fucking money is. So I'm telling you, man, there's a great swing trade setting up on DJT. I need you to be laser focused on this. Use confirmations on the daily chart, on the weekly chart. Use confirmations. We're at good levels, man. So I'm keeping an eye on it for the swing trade. I'm going to let you guys know. I will let you guys know when I decide to actually swing trade this. In the meantime, I'm going to be looking for confirmations to swing. But in the meantime, I'm going to be looking for day trading opportunities. These options are going to be cheap as fuck tomorrow. So I'm signing off, man. Keep this stock. It's going to be the #1 stock to have on your radar. Just follow it every single fucking day, man. Gradually scale into it. Use daily confirmations. Just go back throughout the chart history and study how the daily candlesticks look like when DJT stock started to bottom out, right? So just be aware of this along with the catalyst and everything that's going on. Just wanted to mention that, and I'm going to be sending out this video. If you are serious about joining us, is the first link down below within the description. You can get started trading alongside with us heading into the market tomorrow. I'm telling you, we're going to have a phenomenal day closing out the week. Very, very strong. within the green. G-Roar, he did fairly well today. He absolutely crushed it on a couple plays. So with that being said, if you want to join us, it's the first link down below within the description. We are known for buying cheap, far, low risk out of money option contracts. We're known for selling them deep in the money for the biggest percentage gains within the market. We have the highest win rate in the game doing this. And we have a very unique trading system that we've created with this far out of the money option, system we have, right? So we don't use stop losses. The contracts are so cheap, you can put in your entire position size as your max risk per trade. So if the contracts go to worthless, we're trading naked options. The most you lose is what you put into the option contracts, and they're so fucking cheap. So the most you can lose is your max risk per trade, right? So since you're not putting in a lot into the contracts, how are you making it? How are you making decent money? Well, obviously, if you're starting with a small account at first, it's more about the percentage growth and compounding your account. But you're still able to make very decent money because the percentage returns on the trades are so fucking massive. And the percentage gains are always going to outweigh the losses, right? So with that being said, if you're serious about trading alongside with us, more background to the system. We set profit stops. The reason why we set profit stops is to ensure that we do not go green to red on a trade and then we get stopped out for profits. We move the profit stop higher to ensure that we don't give back the bulk of our gains and we get stopped out for profits. And in terms of stop losses, we don't use stop losses. We sell moves. If we're down 30, 40, 50% and it doesn't make sense to hold, sometimes we'll sell the move, we'll get out. Other times we'll risk it. We have the entire day for these contracts to go in the money. We have the entire day from market open to market close, the entire day for the contracts to go in the money, man. I'm telling you, this is the best time to be trading when the market's having these big overall volatile moves, especially. So if you're serious about making money and holding your trades longer for the bigger percentage gains, right? Letting the percentage gains and letting the time you hold the trade do the work for you instead of risking a lot of your money, this is going to be the best system for you. A lot of traders lose because they think small wins add up. The problem is they size in so big, they never win big, right? And they use stop losses and they get stopped out all the time. We figured out a way where we can actually remove the stop loss and lower our risk and increase our reward and get bigger percentage gains, which is going to yield us bigger dollar gains as well, even if we are sizing in smaller. So we have it all figured out. It's the first link down below in the description. If you want to join us, if you want to trade alongside with us and get access to our real-time trading alerts and the real-time zero-day options trading alert system, is going to be the first link down below within the description. With that being said, I'm going to be signing off. I will see you guys tomorrow within the chat.